Thank you for being here. If you're being here, it's because you're looking for a community. You're looking to surround yourself with people that are like-minded, who can support you on your creative journey. So through my talk today, I wanted to show you what an ecosystem looks like in the literature and creative world. My name is Dania Droubi, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Emirates Literature Foundation and the Director of Education Initiatives. So think about a writer. When you are thinking of your writing journey and a writer, do you imagine a lone person sitting there with a notebook, wrestling with words? Or do you imagine a community, people who are working together to put this ecosystem together to support the writer in their journey? So over the course of my talk, we'll talk about the creative ego, the creative ecosystem, and what it is and how we can explore it together. The ego is the spark, it's the vision, it's the ideas, it's the voice of the writer. But the ecosystem, the network of collaborators, the mentors, the workshop providers, the translators, the publishers, the illustrators, these are the communities that bring the voice of the writer to life. And it gives it the relevance, it makes it evolving, and it gets it to evolve across languages and cultures. So I wanted to, over the next 35 minutes, go over some of the work that the Emirates Literature Foundation has done to build this ecosystem and to provide a community for our writers. The first collaborative work that we have done was an experimental community night called Canvases and Verses. This is at the Emirates Literature Foundation, we usually conduct monthly community nights where we bring poets together. Sometimes they're seasoned poets who have written or published, and we also allow for time for open mic, someone who gets the courage to stand up at the time and take the mic, recite some of their work. This was a different kind of creative setup and collaboration. We collaborated with a local studio called Studio 13. This is a collection of 5 or 6 artists who share a space, and we brought poets with them. So then we had the voice of the poet and their creativity and their writing, and we had the painters. And writers had to take inspiration from the painting, but painters were doing live canvases according to the poetry that's being recited. So with every poet, we had a painter doing a live canvas. This is a collaboration of the voice of a painter and the poet. Each one had their individuality in their work, but they still worked together to create an event or create a voice together, keeping their individuality, but creating new voices along the way. So what happened there is we merged and created a balance between the ego and the ecosystem, asserting each creativity while being open to the influence of the other creative. Next is Circle of Spices. Now, the Emirates Literature Foundation has a publishing arm, and this book was written in Arabic by an Emirati author. The text is full of Emirati culture and essence. And so when we translated it to English, the author was really keen on preserving this essence, the Emirati, and she didn't want it to be lost in the translation. So obviously, when it came down to the launch, we didn't want it to be just a book reading. We had to showcase the work that comes through with working on a translation. So we collaborated with an Emirati chef. The chef read the book, extracted from the text of the book the essence. So this was now a merge of different creatives the writer, the author of the original author of the book, the translator who brought it to life, and the chef who brought all of this together to make it a creative space that is feeding the soul, the stomach, touching all the senses. So again, the artist, the author, had her creative voice there. The chef had her creative element to add it to it, and unexpected creative addition was the drizzle of rain that day. It rained a little bit, and we were keen on moving this event indoors, but the author was insistent of keeping it outdoors. It's part of the element, part of the the vibe of the book, and the Emirati weather at that day, and this was a couple of weeks ago. So she insisted we do it outdoors, and this just added more magic to the launch, and it again proved that the launch itself, if it was just her sitting here and reading excerpts of the book, it would not have been as magical. But the elements of a chef who brought the senses out of the book, the spices that were in the book, the cinnamon, the cardamom, the shai karak that's in the book, the different spices that are in the different recipes that are part of that. It's a love story, it's a romance book, but it still takes essence from the Emirati culture, and the chef brought it to life with her creative aspect. So again, imagine a love story that you've read. How could collaboration transform it beyond the words? Could it become a performance, a meal, or a visual experiment? The possibilities are endless. The MBRSC Short Story Award is a collaboration with the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center. So this came from, Dubai is a city that is ever evolving. It's the biggest. It's always looking for the biggest, the fastest, the best, and we're the most ambitious. So in literature, we sometimes also need to be ego-driven to have ambitions to fill the gaps that are in the literature world. And the MBRSC Short Story Award was one example. Arab science fiction in Arabic is still a niche topic and a niche genre for writing. But the story wasn't just about the awards. It was about building an ecosystem through the workshops, the community nights, the mentorship, and the encouragement of our writing community. Some of them who are trying their hand at writing for the first time, some of them have been copywriters and looked at this and said, there is a possibility here for me to try my hand at science fiction. And they imagine new worlds. Some of them failed at other competitions, but with this genre, it sparked a new interest for writing. So this shows that the creative ego inspires, but the ecosystem is what nurtured them. Yes.
This is not Arabian.
Yes, this is a stock image. This is not the real one. No. You're Italian.
Hungarian, but Sultan, right? The Emirati.
Yes, yes.
Cosmonaut was actually in space.
Yes.
I think it would have been nice to have
Yes, it would have been nice to have a real image, yes. I had to get permission for that. But you're right, yes. With Sultan being in space, that was the inspiration for a lot of writers. And obviously, this was an achievement for Dubai, but with the writing community, there was new possibilities because now it became closer to home. The idea of sci-fi is closer to home. And this year, actually, the winners, and this was our first year launching this competition, the winners were from our writing community, from employees, ex-employees, volunteers, people who attended our workshops throughout the year. And they're keen on sci-fi. And when we launched this, they thought, you know what? Let me try out my hand. So they attended a few workshops, networked, got to meet some of the locally based authors who've written in sci-fi, and tried their hand at a short story, and they won. So the possibilities for them now is just really going beyond this competition. The Global Association of Literary Festivals. This is the epitome of leaving your ego behind, because this association brings festival directors from around the world, literary festival directors. This association now has more than 130 members, festival directors from around the world who run literature festivals around the world, from Nairobi to Australia to New York, UK, all over the world. And what happens here is each one of these festival directors, when they come together for their meetings or for the conferences, they're leaving their egos behind, because what they're looking at is developing the ecosystem of the literature festivals. It's how can we make it a more accessible festival? How can we bring the new generation to literature festivals? How can we inspire them to read, to write, to illustrate, to be part of this community? And so they're putting their egos as the best festival around the world or the most unique, to put it out on the table. How can we collaborate together? How can we improve this ecosystem for the benefit of our communities, whether they're local or international? And one of the biggest collaborations that they do is the exporting of their local talent around the world. So what we do at our festival is we recommend our Emirati authors or locally based authors to participate in international festivals. These international festivals export their talent to the UAE. So we're sharing, again, collaborations, we're sharing cultures, we're sharing literature from the region to the world and bringing international cultures and literature to the UAE. The student competitions. We've been running student writing competitions for a very long time, whether they're reading, writing, letter writing, story writing, now recently script writing and developing digital films, stories about sustainable development goals. All of these are written by young children, for children. The stories is inspired by SDG goals, written for children, by children, written in Arabic and English. They're translated, they're published in an anthology, but then they don't stop there. Because for these young authors to have their voice go travel the world, we need to collaborate with the community. So then we collaborated with translators who translated the Arabic stories to English, the English to Arabic, and therefore 22 in one book. We work with locally based illustrators, students in universities, in art centers. They illustrated the 22 stories, and they're credited in the book. This book is sold, is distributed in schools around the world. It's shared with UNICEF, who is a partner for this competition. It's shared with the patron of the competition. So then, again, the illustration did not stop at that book. It's going global. It's going with this book. Wherever the voices of the children go, the illustrations go with it. So again, the creative ego of the student writer was essential because it was the spark of the story. But it's the ecosystem, the mentorship, the guidance, the illustration, the publication is what allowed that story to thrive and reach a wider audience. Cross-cultural collaborations. This is really cool because this was an experimental collaboration. This was something that these three people you see on the screen came up with together. Imagine an Emirati academic, a Colombian poet, and an American musician. They came together on a single stage here in the UAE. That's Dr. Afra Atiq over here, a local Emirati poet, a Colombian poet, Carlos Andreas Gomez, and American musician, Brent Shuttleworth. They brought music and poetry together, and they headlined this act at international festivals, starting with Dubai Expo a few years back, again at this year's Emirates Airline Festival of Literature. This is really unique because what it shows is that literature does not stop on the paper and with the author or the poet. It doesn't work in isolation. It thrives by intersecting music, by intersecting movement, language and performance. And between Afra and Andreas, there are 5 languages spoken in their poetry. And with the music, it just gave it an extra element. It made it move from the stage, and this was a desert stage. It's an event we call Desert Stanza, so it's in the middle of the desert here in the UAE. But this was showcased on expo stages as well. Again, gone global at the moment. So I wanted to show you what it is. I'll give you a break from me talking. Hold on. Let's see if we can get this. Is there a voice that we can? Plug in audio.
Do we need like another cable that?
I try it now. No, it should be audio in. This is why it's not connected with audio. What he's seeing right now, I'll interpret while you're doing this, is for the first time in this stage, you are seeing an international collaboration. Please welcome on stage Dr. Afra Atiq. This is what he's saying. I can't rap. I can't do the poetry. Well, we'll skip. Maybe we'll come back to it when he fixes the audio. That's fine. So next we have, and the last thing I wanted to talk about is the mentorship. Again, we talked through a lot of the things that I went through this presentation about the importance of mentorship. Mentorship is an important part of creating an ecosystem for creatives. You can be as creative as you are, but at the end of the day, if you are working alone, you are going fast, but you're going alone. Your voice can only go as far as your own. It worked? No, it worked here. No, it's going here on my ear. It's okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Here we go. So yes, this is Annabel Cantaria. Annabel was one of the writers who won one of the writing workshops a decade ago. It was called the Monte Grappa Writing Prize. Her writing, she got a book deal after this, published 6 best-selling books after, still resides in the UAE, but her success didn't stop there. She continued to give back to the community. She created a writing community around her. This writing community did not stop at first-time writers. It included the illustrators, it included the editors, the translators, the publishers, all of them who are part of this writing journey. So again, as a writer, she succeeded by herself. But to help the community, we needed to collaborate. Every writer who was part of these mentorship workshops had to learn how to work within. When you are here because you're looking for that community. You're looking at how can you improve, how can you expand your voice? How can you elevate it? How can you take it beyond the walls of the room that you're writing in, the classroom that you're writing in, the space that you are creating in as an artist? Your art can be here on a wall, but if you collaborate with another artist, if you collaborate with a writer, your art can go globally. And that's where the collaboration goes. We as creatives, we're very proud of our work. We're happy to put our voices, our minds on paper. But then if you're working with someone, your creativity can expand. And the speakers before me were talking about, they created their own music in their own places. But when they collaborated with the wider community is where their voices grew, their community grew. And he said, we're always looking for more people, collecting emails. That's where you thrive, by collecting emails, by collecting contacts, by attending places like this and looking for collaborations and spaces. So her story shows you that sustaining a collaborative ecosystem isn't a one-off. It's about investing in the people, nurturing the talent, we can try it after, and returning to the community repeatedly. Her ego, the drive for her to succeed, inspired her own work, but the ecosystem, the platforms, the mentorships, the collaborative spaces is what allowed her to sustain the impact across the literary world. So before I close, let me see if I can go back to the video. And we'll end with that. Is it working? No. I'll send you a link then. It's okay. If anyone's interested, I can show it to you on YouTube. So, in closing, here we go. You can hear me now. So the creative ego is essential, but because it gives us the vision, the voice, the daring, the ambition. But without the ecosystem, without the collaboration, the mentorship, the community, the partnerships, the sponsorships, and the shared spaces, that ego can only go so far. Literature, as humans, we're always looking for our community. The first thing we do when we move to a new place is look for our community. Look for people that help us thrive, that are like-minded, that we can connect to, because that's how you grow within that new community. And literature is the same. It thrives with the community, with the translators, with the people who are willing to collaborate, to explore, to expand on your ideas, to brainstorm new ones with you, to help your idea transform into something that is magical and more powerful. So my invitation to you is to be curious, to ask questions, to explore partnerships, and to think about how you can contribute to the ecosystem. Whether you're a writer, an illustrator, an artist, a performer, a translator, or just someone fascinated by literature, there's a place for you to make a difference. And that's the end for me. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear from you if you've had any struggles, if you have any questions. I'm open. We can try one more time. Should I try? Or no? The video? No. But it's working from my laptop, I think. No, you can't. Oh, wait. There's the speaker here. Here we go.
lineage, with images and rhyme, a universe inside each grain within the sands of time.
Siempre al mal tiempo buena cara. Oiga, a sun shower is beaming mi pana. Give us music, let bars sing sin duda. Bathe each common thing with light like Neruda. In the story of your life, what is yet to be told? Why withhold when we can be held and remold what is or will be? Behold, poetry that folds syllables into gold spoke couplets, verdant as orchard grass. With each hour's pass, another fallen mask, a breathing past. Switch fate from clickbait and make the hour last. I weave in desert lore, cleave the hourglass. I hold it with my gaze, my ancestors hold me. With every page I mold it upon this stage, emboldened. I hear the sage and roll with momentum's every wave. I told it, the story beyond the glory. They see these grains of sand as flooring, but what if each one bears a million stories that constellates a lineage restoring, which resonates a time signature in scoring to give us back our music and rhyme to reshape the sands of time. We lineate this lineage with images and rhyme, a universe inside each grain within the sands of time.
My language began in three-word sentences, all subject, object, verb, verb, subject, noun, فعل, فاعل, مفعول به, مبتدأ وخبر, constantly arranging and rearranging meaning, consonants like constellations, countless components composed into something I could carry, folded into what would fall in place because language is living legacy, inherited and excavated all at once, a grand grid of moving parts puzzling themselves together through stories and verses varied. See, language does not move in a straight line or a preset path pointing in the direction of a poem. They say poetry does what words cannot. Mais la poésie n'est pas un coïncident des mots. And what is language but a connection, an exchanging of meaning, kalimat, huruf, qasayid, the lyrical foundation of a story, this story.
Give it up for Dr. Afra Teach.
So, gives you an idea. This is the epitome of a collaborative stage. This is a huge ecosystem that came together. The music, the production, the words. Afra lives here. Carlos lives in the US. They each wrote their own words, but then they worked collaboratively on a poem together. How they built it together, how they fit the music with it, and then to be on that stage and just be stripped down just to their words and to share their words. Each one of them performs on their own, but together they were a show, a performance that brought the stage and the audience to their feet. So this is what a literary ecosystem looks like. Each one's words traveled and then came together on this with this performance. Thank you so much for listening. Does anyone want to have any input? Does anyone want to share any stories, ask questions? Yes.
In an effort to collaborate, how does the process really work? Is it something that you have artists who are willing? Oh, sorry. Do you have artists who are willing to collaborate, and then you can see what can work with what? Or do you have art pieces already and you see, okay, this could go with this, and then you invite the artist to collaborate? Which is the more organic way in this ecosystem?
Well, it goes both ways, because sometimes the art exists. And so in the lead up to the canvases and verses thing that we did, we started out by reaching out to the artist and saying, are you willing to share your art with a poem, but with a poet, for them to write a specific poem for this evening? And they were keen to share their art. They chose something that they love and they're passionate about, something that they had strong feelings about, and they shared that with the poet. So they wrote that poem ahead of time. Then when it came to the they wanted to understand that poet, so then we introduced them to them. So they sat together, they listened to each other, what inspires you, what gets you to write, what gets you to paint. And this, they didn't agree on the art that will be performed on the day, they just understood each other. So it's about, and it's the same thing with the chef and the writer. It was the chef needed to feel the words of the author, and the author needed to be comfortable with that chef. She wanted to make sure that that person reads the book, understands the words, and is able to get that atmosphere out there with the food. So it's a collaborative work. It's never, here's an artist and here's a writer and yalla, make it happen. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't work and we have to find other artists. Similarly with the children's illustrations, with the students, these are all art students in HCT, so they've only done it within their classroom. So we needed to make sure that the story spoke to them and they're able to illustrate that work. So we gave them the 22 stories and we said, find what speaks to you. And then they created the artwork alongside that. And actually the children did not see the artwork until we launched it, because we wanted them to see the magic of seeing their artwork come to life with the book illustration. But then we took it one step and we had someone work on animating these illustrations. So when we launched the book, we had an animation video of these illustrations. So again, another element to that ecosystem was added to showcase the work, to showcase the stories. So it's a collaborative work. It's never, you and you work together and make it happen. It's always about what speaks to you and what works. Yes.
So I assume that some of this collaboration is taking place because of the changing nature of how children or adults consume literature and how you try to make it more relevant for them or participatory, right? Like, so they are, when you actually read something and draw about it, you are kind of double invested into that story because it initiated some emotions, and then you're actually putting it into on paper by drawing about that.
Yeah.
So, first question, how do you see the reading in the UAE, and how do you see, because internationally there's reduction of reading, or decline of reading, and particularly in the younger generations. This is not just reading, this is also art, like visual art and going to the museums. So how do you see that? And second, now that you're doing these participatory interactive works with children or other adults, how do you see the results? Are they actually working? Are they more involved? Do they read more after being involved in such a thing? Now talking about youth, not necessarily adults.
I understand. Yeah, great question. So when I started, I said, we look at what are the gaps in the literary ecosystem. And the biggest gap is that the new generation is not reading, and they're not reading physical books. If they're reading short stories, or they're reading on digital platforms. So one of the newest additions to our competition lineup is a digital storytelling. So we wanted to have kids who don't like to read and maybe don't like to write, have a different way of showcasing their talent and still be involved in literature in a new dimension, which is the digital art. So the competition works by having the students read books. They can listen to the audiobook, but then represent it through a video. So they wrote a script based on that book, or even a scene from that book or poem. Some of them chose poetry, and they wrote a script. They acted it out. Some of them used AI to do some, like an anime version of it. But we weren't too picky, other than saying we don't want it 100% AI. We want a human element. We want you to be part of this production. So this is a group of 4 students, secondary students, and this is the age that we lose in reading. They're the ones who lose, they hit the age where it's sports, or reading, or neither, and then it's gaming. So, okay, you like gaming, you like computers, put those skills to the test with this. And the idea is we wanted the group to be a collaborative work. So one of the students read the book, the other one took notes and wrote the script because they're more of the performing arts. So they were visualizing how the scene would work. And then the ones who are more tech savvy are the ones who put that into the digital work. So whether they took the videography and edited the videos or they made it as a cartoon animation. So then again, we brought the books back to life in a different way. And it made them more interested. The ones who created the video were more interested now in reading the book because they wanted to see what is it that they're producing. So inadvertently, we got them to read the book. So again, we're not pushing a book in their face, we're getting them interested through other ways. Now with the younger ones, it's what you put in front of them. If you provide the platform for them, if you provide the creative space for them, they will want to read. So everything that we do and we encourage in schools is creating a creative space for the students. Put a little corner in your classroom and encourage them. You finished your work, go sit in that corner. No judgment of what book you choose or what you pick up. No specific selection of educational books that are put out there. There's a selection of books that could be about cars, about dinosaurs, about, I don't know, water, about cooking, about anything, football. But we just want the kids, and especially the boys, who tell you, oh, I can't find anything interesting to read. Okay, there's a corner, you finished your work. What you can do is sit in that corner. Eventually, they were picking up books. They were getting to read. And there's no judgment of their reading pace. There's no judgment of their reading level. There's no judgment of the book that they've chosen. It's their own space to read. And slowly, we saw them getting into these books. And then the library provided a similar space. So then the child felt the freedom to go and access whatever book their eye loved. The illustrations play a huge part of these books. And so again, working with the right illustrators to make sure that these books are attractive for the target audience is very important. And that's what brings the young reader to the book. I hope I answered. Absolutely.
And peers, so the child and peers, the school and the family. So once the family is instilling some of these values, if the family instills these values or interest, maybe at a young age, even though we are losing that child during adolescence, then they eventually come back and they really appreciate reading.
And actually, so one of the initiatives that we do is called the Reading for Pleasure Project. And it came from this idea of reading is not pleasurable anymore for kids. It's an assignment that they do for school. And so they do it because they have to. And that's it. So there's no pleasure. There's no act of, I'm bored, I will go get a book to read. For the younger ones, of course, there are exceptions, and families are a huge part of this. When you look at if the newer generation, I will talk about, let's say, not to put my age out there, but 30-year-olds and above, the new parents, if reading is not within them, they will not put that in their kids. They will not provide the spaces. They will not think of providing that space for the kid within their family environment. So that's where a school plays part. That's where the teacher plays part of it, the librarian. So what we're doing through this project is to showcase the importance of creating these spaces within the home. It starts with making a parent be involved in that reading. So what did we do first? We brought the parents to school. First, you need to understand the importance of reading for your child and with your child, the importance of creating that space, the importance of you being the silly parent who will sit with your child and make the sounds and the silly voices and act out the characters and make them fall in love with the book. And that is, again, the ecosystem that we created. It's not only the author. The author wrote a book, but that author needs to sell their book to that parent. So how do we do it? We bring the author to the school, we bring the parent to the school, and we have the author speak directly to the parent. Get them to fall in love with the book, then the parent will get that book for their child. And that will create a new moment within the house of reading these books. It'll add to the school. It'll build a library. For some families, they don't even have a library for their kids. There are no children's books at home. So then with these initiatives, with these collaborations with the locally based authors, we are creating these small libraries at home. We are showing the parents the importance of reading, and we are having them to be, I was just telling one of the audiences here, she's recently writing a book. The most important part of an author's journey, because it's not only you've written a book and you've put it out there, and then what? Where are the readers going to come from? So then you tap into your literary ecosystem, the illustrators who will help you promote your book, the publisher who will help you market your book, the authors who will fall in love with your book and want to read it to the kids, and the children who will want to be, when you read it as an author, and I'm an early childhood educator, so when I sit down with the children and I, on their level, and I'm acting out and I'm changing my voice and I am jumping around, I'm bringing that story back to life, and this is what an author needs to do. And that's when that child falls in love with the words, falls in love with the pictures. Sometimes it's just the pictures. Okay, then I don't need to read the words word for word. I can look at the pictures and see, what do you see here? What story can you come up with? The silent books are a great example of books that are beyond words. These are books that are just pictures. They elicit a child to make their own stories. And that's then the role of that artist or illustrator who did that book. How are they going to bring these words out from their young reader? How are they going to encourage them to put words for themselves, design their own story? And your child might say a different story to the same pictures than yours, and yours, depending on their community, their culture, where they come from, some of the stories that they've heard. And so they're making up their own stories as they go along. So it's again, it's a collaborative effort. It's a work of a community. It's the work of the whole literary ecosystem that brings these books back to life to the children. Yes, it's in decline, but when we all work together, we make it happen. We can bring those numbers back up. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think that's my time.